back here tonight at 6.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin again tonight with the continuing chaos in the Soviet Union. The view from Washington is one of dismay and increasing concern. You could hear it today at a meeting of the House Armed Services Committee, which was considering cuts in the U.S. military budget. The director of the Central Intelligence Agency, Robert Gates, showed up to caution, go slow. Central authority in the Soviet Union, he said, is evaporating before our eyes. In Washington tonight, ABC's John McWethy.
The CIA director described the Soviet Union as dangerously unstable, with an economy now in a free fall, and worse, as an arsenal that used to be a country.
The collapse of central authority, potentially large-scale civil disorder, and unraveling of social discipline, while it still possesses some 30,000 nuclear weapons, the most powerful of which continue to be aimed at us. There is no precedent for an empire as vast as that of Russia or the Soviet Union imploding so suddenly.
Gates said now even the once mighty Soviet army is disintegrating.
Political and economic collapse is beginning to fragment the military into elements loyal to the republics or simply devoted to self-preservation. Our most likely scenario is for the continued decay and breakup of the Soviet armed forces.
In all the political turmoil of the last week, the military has been silent on whether it supports President Gorbachev or the new Commonwealth of three republics which declared their independence. U.S. Ambassador to Moscow Robert Strauss today called the military the wild card and could not resist commenting on the Commonwealth plan to move the capital to Minsk in Belarusia.
If someone were to come and tell me tomorrow that we're moving the White House from Washington, D.C. to Newark, New Jersey, I wouldn't believe it. And moving to Minsk from Moscow is the same sort of thing.
Ambassador Strauss said administration strategy is to talk to anybody and everybody until the situation shakes out. But he admits whatever happens next, there is probably little the U.S. can do about it. John McWethy, ABC News, the State Department.
In Moscow today, a senior aide to Boris Yeltsin says the Russian Federation president will meet with Soviet military leaders tomorrow to decide who controls the armed forces. Mikhail Gorbachev is technically commander-in-chief, but it's not clear today if his government is still functioning effectively. In fact, the day started with whispers in Moscow that Mr. Gorbachev was about to quit. Here's ABC's John Dunn.
The rumor that Gorbachev might resign was only a few hours old when his spokesman denied it.
Mr. Gorbachev considers himself to be the president of the USSR.
He had already told reporters that Gorbachev will not walk away from his campaign to keep the Soviet Union together under a central government. To the contrary, Gorbachev, who spent most of the day out of sight in his Kremlin office, is showing he has not lost entirely his power of persuasion. Although the parliaments of Ukraine and Belarusia formally ratified tonight their new Commonwealth of independent states with Russia, many people agree with Gorbachev that the three republic leaders may have overstepped their authority, and many realize they still need the administrative machinery housed in the ministries of the central government that Gorbachev heads.
The best situation if he will stay for a while, just to secure this transition period and to help to transit to a new Commonwealth type.
Some are talking about a more permanent role if the Commonwealth comes into existence. These Russian Republic leaders today speaking in flattering terms of Gorbachev's, quote, great political experience that can be used constructively in supporting us. That permanent role, for example, might include controlling Soviet long-range nuclear weapons, stationed not only in the three republics that won a Commonwealth, but also in the Republic of Kazakhstan, which hesitates to join. Meanwhile, everyone competes for the army support. This week, both Boris Yeltsin and Mikhail Gorbachev reportedly have meetings with senior army officers. But increasingly, even the politicians themselves are beginning to admit they may be spending too much energy battling each other instead of figuring out how to feed the people and keep them warm through winter. John Donovan, ABC News, Moscow.
In a moment, today's other news, William Smith tells his side of the story. The runaway costs of health care, how employers try to keep up when they do. And on the American agenda tonight, children, cigarettes, and Smooth Joe Camel.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by Tylenol.
We all live with stress.
Some people find it harder to deal with than others. And sometimes not only can stress lead to a headache, but it can, on occasion, also lead to stomach upset. That's when your choice of a pain reliever should be Tylenol. Doctors know Tylenol provides fast, effective pain relief, yet is easy on your stomach. Talk to your doctor. We can't avoid stress, but we can take Tylenol to relieve stress headaches. Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
I was a dedicated beard wearer until my wife gave me the new Remington Microscreen Elite. It's quick, it's close. The Remington Microscreen Elite has 2 ultra-thin screens. So comfortable, shaves as close as a blade or your money back. That's Remington.
Do your holiday shopping with the Discover card, and you'll not only give, you'll receive a cashback bonus for every charge. It pays to Discover.
In Palm Beach, Florida today, nearly 9 months after he was first accused of rape, William Smith told a jury his version of what happened at the Kennedy family estate last Easter weekend. A very different story from that of the woman who accused him. Here's ABC's Mark Potter.
On the witness stand, William Smith said it was his accuser who took the initiative and led him on. He said she approached him in a Palm Beach bar and offered to drive him to the Kennedy estate.
I was feeling that I'd gotten picked up.
Smith said when they arrived at the Kennedy home, it was the woman who suggested they go to the beach. And he said they had 2 sexual encounters, once on the beach and later on the estate lawn. In both cases, Smith portrayed her as a willing and eager participant until he mistakenly called her by another woman's name.
She sort of snapped.
In what way?
She got very, very upset, and she told me to get the hell off of her.
And what did she do?
And she hit me with her hand.
Smith said the woman became very emotional and seemed disoriented, calling him by the name Michael and accusing him of rape. After she left, Smith said he told his cousin, Patrick Kennedy, that he was scared.
I said to Patrick, gosh, I just had a really frightening night, and this woman's a real nut. And he said, what are you talking about? And I said, well, she's calling me by the wrong name. She said she'd been at the house before. She asked to see my ID. She said she'd call the police. She's making, a big scene.
Will, that night, that early morning, that Saturday morning, did you at any time forcibly rape?
No, I did not.
Then came the cross-examination.
What are you saying, that she raped you, Mr. Smith?
Absolutely not.
The prosecutor's often sarcastic questions did not seem to make much headway in countering Smith's story.
We're all amazed that your animal magnetism just captivated this woman on March 30th, 1991, and she wanted to go home with you, and she rubbed against you, and she wanted to take you home, and she wanted to go swimming with you, all in an hour, Mr. Smith.
I think that's a mischaracterization.
Smith was quick to fight back at the prosecutor's suggestions.
You know you can always count on your family, don't you?
If you're implying that my family is lying to protect me, you're dead wrong.
The prosecutor also had trouble with the judge, who lectured her about unfair questions.
And if you ask one more question along these lines, you will not get away with it.
Closing arguments are scheduled for tomorrow. The jury could begin its deliberations by midday. Mark Potter, ABC News, West Palm Beach, Florida.
In Washington today, a ruling from the Supreme Court having to do with victims' rights. The court has overturned a New York law that forces a convicted criminal to turn over any profits from a book or a movie about the crime to the victim. The ruling casts doubt on laws in 42 states and a federal law which calls for compensation. The Internal Revenue Service came under attack today on Capitol Hill. 3 years ago, Congress passed a so-called Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. It was supposed to protect the average taxpayer from misconduct by the IRS. A Senate committee was told today that more protection is needed. Here's ABC's Bill Greenwood.
The Internal Revenue Service says it does not believe 7 of Charles Benjamin's 10 children exist. After a random tax audit in 1988, the IRS said Benjamin could claim only 3 children as dependents. The unemployed pipe fitter provided birth certificates for every child. but says a skeptical IRS agent told him families just don't have 10 kids these days. The IRS slapped him with a bill for back taxes and seized $4,000 from his bank account.
I've been called a liar. I've been notified that I should no longer call the IRS office for help.
This is no isolated incident. Despite the fact that the IRS is clearly wrong,
senators say every tax processing center in the nation has generated numerous complaints of abuse, even though the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights was designed to protect people from heavy-handed treatment by the IRS. So Congress is now considering changes to let taxpayers collect from the government when they fight the IRS and win.
Taxpayers who've been financially harmed or devastated by IRS carelessness should also have the right to sue and recover damages.
The IRS did not testify at today's hearing, but a spokesman said with 120,000 employees processing 100 million returns each year, mistakes are bound to happen. But that's little comfort for Charles Benjamin, who's still fighting, still out $4,000, and still has 10 children to feed. Bill Greenwood, ABC News, Washington.
Terry Anderson came home today. The first thing he did was go to the Home Office, the Associated Press newsroom in New York. Anderson says he has developed a slight fear of crowds these past days, though this crowd was more like family, so it didn't seem to bother him very much. Now he says he plans to go find a beach where it's sunny and try to get rid of his prison palate. Peace talks resumed in Washington today between Israel and Syria and between Israel and Lebanon. But a third set of talks between Israel and a delegation of Jordanians and Palestinians was delayed again when the parties could not agree on procedural details. When we come back, why so many private companies say they can no longer provide health insurance for their workers.
Layoffs, recession, pollution,
daycare, not having any time,
job insecurity.
You never needed it more. A new extra-strength pain reliever made to get today's tough headaches before they really get you. 1,000 milligrams, Stomach Guard, and the name Bayer. That should ease your mind. Introducing new extra-strength Bayer Plus. Now there's no pain you can't bear.
Shoot some slices, shoot some shreds, shoot some salad, 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 salad shooter.
Presto Salad Shooter Slicer Shredder. Point and shoot right where you want. Clean up easy, dishwasher safe, store anywhere.
Salad shooter.
Original, cordless, and professional salad shooter.
Pain from just one sensitive tooth can start the domino effect. Pain can make you stop brushing, lead to plaque buildup, gingivitis, periodontal disease, even tooth loss. Sensodyne toothpaste helps stop the pain and the domino effect.
At Red Lobster, it only happens for the next few weeks. And it's just $7.99. Introducing a brand new shrimp combination. And wait till you taste it. First, we took a touch of honey and created new honey barbecue shrimp. Then the tang of lemon for new lemon broiled shrimp. Two new tastes together at a special low price, just $7.99. But for a limited time. So hurry to Red Lobster. And for holidays at home, party platters to go, ready in just 1 hour.
As you heard on last night's broadcast, we'll have a report every night this week on the subject of the healthcare system. It is such a political issue this year that a group of Democratic politicians is traveling around the country all week trying to highlight how severe the problems are. And so, separately, are we. Today, the Democrats are in Atlanta, hearing from businesses that say they are finding it increasingly difficult to provide coverage for their workers. A disturbing development since most Americans who have health insurance get it through their job. ABC's Bob Jameson is in Atlanta as well.
The big businesses which fill Atlanta's skyscrapers have watched their employee health care costs increase by 200% in the last decade. In Georgia, the average annual cost per worker has risen to almost $5,000. Delta's health care bill for its 75,000 employees has risen to $200 million this year. At the forest products company Georgia Pacific, the cost is $160 million, almost half of last year's profit. Georgia Pacific says the fact employers, rather than the government, pay for health care adds to the problems of competing in a world market.
The costs of health care in this country are so great and are increasing so rapidly that they threaten the profitability and the ability to compete.
Georgia Pacific, like 3/4 of big companies, now requires its employees to pay some of the cost. Nationwide, the average employee's contribution to corporate health plans has doubled since 1987, from about $500 to $1,000 a year. Yet the burden for big companies and the growing cost of their employees is often far less than it is for small businesses. An increasing number of small firms and their employees say they can no longer afford health insurance. This is the headquarters of Southern Pan Services. The Atlanta Construction Company has 150 employees. It stopped helping pay for their insurance when the premium quadrupled from $125 a month to $125 a week. General Manager Gary Harkins says providing insurance would wipe out this year's profit.
If we provided health insurance at the current rates to our employees, it would bankrupt the company.
2/3 of Harkins' workers still don't have insurance, like Bobby White. He supports his family on $8.50 an hour, and insurance would cost $100 a week.
Can't afford it. Just can't afford it.
If White gets sick, he must rely on Atlanta's Grady Public Hospital for free care. But someone must ultimately pay his bill. And White's costs, along with those of millions of other Americans who cannot afford health insurance, are passed along to corporations and workers who are paying more and more. Bob Jamison, ABC News, Atlanta.
On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrials lost more than 7 points to close at 2863, the 6th loss in a row, and the trading was heavy. Overseas, opposition political parties in Japan have blocked a proposed new law that would have allowed Japanese troops to take part in UN peacekeeping operations. The Japanese constitution has forbidden military operations overseas ever since World War II. In Norway today, the teenage sons of the 1991 Nobel Peace Prize winner accepted the prize on her behalf. Their mother is Aung San Suu Kyi, the leader of the pro-democracy movement in Burma. She was not allowed to leave the country. The military rulers of Burma have kept her under house arrest for the past 2 years. In our next segment, Mr. Bush gets a challenge from the political right.
To help fight the corrosive effects of salt and water, every Lexus features airbag terminals plated in gold. Of course, we might have used a less expensive material, but it wasn't money we were interested in saving.
Norelco says don't shave your legs, baby them. With Norelco's incredibly close, comfortable shave that leaves you baby smooth, baby soft. Norelco Lady Shave Razors, dry or wet, we make close comfortable.
For years, Pledge has kept our furniture beautiful. Well, now New Pledge does even more. With a special dust-resistant formula called Dust Block, now Pledge actually repels dust. 2 weeks ago, I polished the word Pledge into this table. Watch. New Pledge repels over half the dust I'd get just dry dusting. Pledge knows our lives are a lot busier these days, but with New Pledge, they're a little easier, too.
New Pledge with Dust Block. It actually repels dust. From SC Johnson Wax.
Now on video for a limited time.
Hey, you're not gonna believe what I got you. Take. Look, it's Fantasia. It's just for you. Well, all right, maybe not just for you. I mean, I gotta tell you, it's magic.
That's right. Mickey, yeah.
Between you and me, this was our only chance to get it, and I didn't want you to miss it.
Walt Disney's masterpiece, Fantasia. It's the perfect holiday gift.
Well, of course I got it for you. I'm your dad. Fantasia is ours forever.
It's gone. But it isn't.
My cough drop's gone, but it's still working.
New extra-strength Vicks cough drops give you twice the Vicks Vapor Medicine to relieve your cough and help your scratchy throat and stuffy nose feel better.
Even after it's gone.
George Bush has a new challenger for the presidency from his own party. The political commentator Patrick Buchanan, who once worked for both Presidents Nixon and Reagan, will challenge President Bush in the New Hampshire primary, which is in February.
Why am I running? Because we Republicans can no longer say it is all the liberals' fault. It was not some liberal Democrat who declared, "Read my lips, no new taxes," and then broke his word to cut a seedy backroom deal with the big spenders on Capitol Hill.
Mr. Buchanan called his candidacy a very, very long-shot thing. Still, New Hampshire has a history of rattling political favorites. Here's ABC's Jeff Greenfield.
In challenging the president in New Hampshire, Pat Buchanan has chosen a state that seems to delight in making life miserable for frontrunners. In 1964, liberal Republican Nelson Rockefeller and conservative Barry Goldwater were the top contenders. Who won? Henry Cabot Lodge, whose supporters wrote his name in on the ballot, even though he wasn't a candidate and never became one. In 1968, Senator Eugene McCarthy embarrassed President Johnson by winning 42% of the Democratic primary vote. That helped persuade Robert Kennedy to enter the race and Lyndon Johnson to leave it. 4 years later, front-running Democratic Senator Edmund Muskie got himself in trouble when he appeared to cry in public. He won the New Hampshire primary, but he was judged a loser because he got less than 50% of the vote. Runner-up George McGovern got the momentum and ultimately the nomination. And in 1984, Walter Mondale was gliding toward an all-but-certain New Hampshire win and a virtually uncontested nomination. But Gary Hart surged to a New Hampshire landslide and almost took the nomination away from Mondale. George Bush has tasted both the agony of defeat and the thrill of victory in New Hampshire. In 1980, he upset Ronald Reagan in Iowa, but was buried in the Granite State after a now famous Reagan one-liner during a contentious debate.
I am paying for this microphone, Mr.
In 1988, it was Bush who was on the ropes after an Iowa loss to Bob Dole. But Bush persuaded New Hampshire Republicans that he was a salt-of-the-earth kind of guy who loved trucks and diners, and he won. No wonder Pat Buchanan thinks he has a shot at roughing up George Bush in New Hampshire. The state's official motto may be live free or die, but its political motto seems to be not so fast, Mr. Frontrunner. Jeff Greenfield, ABC News, New York.
When we come back, the American Agenda.
That cough sounds bad.
When her little patient is coughing, it's the biggest thing on Mom's mind. That's why there's Robitussin Pediatric. Great tasting cough and cold relief. Formulated just for kids. From the brand more doctors and pharmacists recommend. Robitussin Pediatric gives long-lasting cough relief day or night, so both the patient and the doctor can rest comfortably. Robitussin Pediatric Cough and new cough and cold formula. Recommended by Dr. Mom.
Panasonic presents a new breed of smooth operator. The new Smooth Operator rechargeable razor unites the old-fashioned closeness of a warm, wet shave with the convenience and no-nick comfort of an electric. Don't try this with any plugged-in razor. Smooth Operator wet-dry razors from Panasonic. Smoother than you ever thought you'd be.
Everybody needs some money sometime.
Only Western Union can get money to over 16,000 locations in minutes. Nobody else even comes close. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
Nighttime, one of the worst times for pain. That's why you need new Ultra Strength Bengay with more pain relievers than we've ever had. Fast relief for muscle aches and minor arthritis pain. With new Ultra Strength Bengay, you can say goodnight to your pain.
Which brand of batteries will keep those Christmas gifts running till next year? I'm Bob Mueller. We'll find out tonight on Channel 2 News at 6.
Finally this evening on the American Agenda, what it is that encourages children to smoke when they should know better. The anti-smoking message is getting through to millions of adults, but despite all the warnings, more children who smoke are starting at a younger age. Today in the Journal of the American Medical Association, 2 studies which appear to show a relationship between teenagers who go on smoking and a particular advertising campaign. Our Agenda reporter is Beth Nissen.
He is on billboards, street signs, buses.
The camel, he's in every magazine I've ever read.
Kids see him in magazine spreads and a full line of promotional products, t-shirts, hats, lighters, drink coolers.
He's cool. He'd be someone I'd like to hang out with.
He water skis, drives motorcycles, flies planes.
He's cool, smooth, he's rich, and he's very famous.
Smooth Joe Camel is one of the most promoted images in modern advertising history. Since the campaign that features him was created 4 years ago, it has stopped the decline of a brand that has been rolling off assembly lines since 1913 and started a bitter controversy. over whether the cartoon that replaced the old Camel is selling cigarettes to children.
The tobacco industry knows that hundreds of thousands of their own customers a year are dying off because of their own product. Who are the replacement customers? Kids.
The makers of Camel cigarettes say Smooth Joe is just as appealing to grown-ups.
Our market is not kids. Our market is trying to reach 35 million smokers who smoke another brand.
There has been no compelling evidence that Smooth Joe clearly appeals to the underaged until today, with 2 studies published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. In the first study, groups of high school students and adults were asked to rate their attraction to the Smooth Joe ads. The results? The researcher who did the study says if the makers of Camel are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to reach adults, they are wasting their money.
The kids loved him, the adults didn't. We found that Camels are 10 times more popular among kids than they are among adults over the age of 21.
Hi! And something about the ads appeals to even the very young. In the second study, children 3 to 6 years old were asked to match a company logo with a product.
Have you seen that before? What does that match with? Very good.
1/3 of 3-year-olds matched Smooth Joe with a picture of a cigarette.
How do you know that he goes with that?
He smokes.
He smokes. How old are you?
3.
By age 6, as many knew the Camel as knew Mickey Mouse.
Very good.
The fact is they're influencing 3 to 6-year-olds whether they intended to or not, and it should stop.
Have you seen that before?
No one knows if children who like Smooth Joe will become Camel smokers. R.J. Reynolds says it spends millions to make sure kids do not smoke Camels or any other brand of cigarettes. The company has designed an ad campaign that urges kids to resist peer pressure. Why would a cigarette company discourage the next generation of customers?
We do not want them to smoke because it can bring restrictions on us that prevent us from being able to market and sell products to adults who choose to smoke.
Restrictions are exactly what public health advocates want from the Federal Trade Commission, which has exclusive jurisdiction over tobacco advertising. The FTC has not responded to a series of requests that it ban the Camel ads and promotions as an unfair trade practice.
I think the FTC should have taken action by now. Tobacco is uniquely our most dangerous product, and kids are our most vulnerable consumers, and cartoon figures appeal to them.
The FTC will only say it will review the studies released today, review the newest evidence that harmful messages are filtering through to the nation's children. Beth Nissen, ABC News, New York.
And that is our report on World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night.
And now, the news continues with Channel 2 News at